and welcome to LiCAS.news Weekly Wrap. I am Basilio Sepe.
And I am Torres, and these are our headlines this week.
Pope Francis reminded world leaders not to use the pandemic for political gain.
Jakarta tightened health protocols after a firebrand cleric attracted large crowds.
South Asia reached 10 million COVID-19 cases last week.
Tribal Christians in central India who are being targeted for their faith got protection from a court.
Catholic institutions across Asia joined calls for ethical investment in clean energy.
The Holy See denounced violence against religions during a forum this week.
And finally, Pope Francis is reportedly in the final stage of selecting a new bishop for Hong Kong. And now to our stories. Pope Francis reminded world leaders this week not to take advantage of the coronavirus pandemic by attacking opponents for political gain. In a video message during a virtual seminar on the pandemic in Latin America, the Pope said political leaders should not encourage or endorse or use mechanisms that will make use of the crisis as an electoral tool. He said elected officials and public servants are called to be at the service of the common good and not place the common good at the service of their interests. He expressed hope that activities during the pandemic would inspire paths, awaken processes, create alliances, and promote all the mechanisms necessary to guarantee a dignified life for the poor.
Authorities in Jakarta will implement strict health protocols in the coming days after a hardline Muslim cleric violated restrictions when he attended mass gatherings in the Indonesian capital last week. According to local media, Jakarta Deputy Governor Ahmad Riza Patria announced that large social gatherings will be prohibited under the capital's partial lockdown measures amid the pandemic. People, however, hit authorities for failing to stop a gathering of about 10,000 people during a wedding last week of the daughter of Rizik Shihab, a controversial Islamic leader. Rizik had returned from a self-imposed exile in Saudi Arabia on November 10 and was greeted by a crowd of supporters who had been bussed in to meet him at Jakarta's international airport. Rizik also greeted thousands of supporters outside the headquarters of the Islamic Defenders Front in the city.
The South Asia sub-region surpassed 10 million COVID-19 cases on November 19, according to a Reuters tally led by India, where officials have been concerned Diwali celebrations could derail a recent fall in infections. South Asia, consisting of India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Bhutan, Nepal, Maldives, and Sri Lanka, accounts for 18% of global cases and almost 11% of global deaths, according to the Reuters tally. It is the second sub-region after North America to cross 10 million case threshold. The South Asian countries account for 23% of the world's population of 7.59 billion people. India, the only Asian country among the top 10 countries worst affected by the pandemic, accounts for about 90% of both the sub-region's cases and deaths.
A high court in the central Indian state of Chhattisgarh last week asked the district administration to arrange for safe return of a group of tribal Christians who were hounded from their homes. The court has sought the official response from Kondagaon Collector, who is the head of the Kondagaon District Administration, District Superintendent of Police, and the state government after the attacks on tribals who had voluntarily converted to Protestant Christianity. The community members were harassed, threatened, and their homes were vandalized by some locals who turned against them after they adopted Christianity. The victims were told to quit their faith or face dire consequences. Around 50 Christians fled their homes as they felt unsafe.
Several Catholic institutions in Asia have joined the growing numbers of faith-based groups that have committed to divest from fossil fuels and champion ethical investment. This week, 47 church-based organizations have announced their divestment from dirty energy sources, including Caritas Asia and the Claretian Missionaries in Sri Lanka. In a statement, the Global Catholic Climate Movement Asia said the announcement was the first since the Vatican issued an operational guidance on the environment in May. The guidelines, titled Journeying Towards Care for Our Common Home 5 years after Laudato Si, aim to encourage Catholics to avoid investing in companies that harm human or social ecology or environmental ecology. There are already about 400 faith-based institutions that have divested from fossil fuels since the global divestment campaign was launched.
The Holy See has once again condemned what it described as violence against religions or beliefs and forms of populism and nationalism that regard migrants and refugees as others and enemies. In an address during the Ministerial to Advance Religious Freedom Forum this week, Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher, Vatican Secretary for Relations with States, stressed the necessity of interreligious and intercultural dialogue to foster mutual understanding and respect. The forum, an annual event sponsored by the U.S. State Department, brings together leaders from around the world to discuss the challenges facing religious freedom. Due to the pandemic, this year's meeting, hosted by Poland, was held online. In his talk, Archbishop Gallagher urged civil authorities to bear in mind and respect the fundamental right of religious freedom for all, which he said is rooted in the inner dimension of the human person.
Pope Francis is in the final stage of selecting a new bishop for Hong Kong. A media report quoted a source who claimed knowledge of the selection process. The regional daily South China Morning Post reported on November 14 that the pontiff has been considering 3 nominations for the post since last year. A source told the Post that the Vatican had finished conducting a second consultation process with Catholics in Hong Kong in August. The Holy See was supposed to announce the appointment of a new bishop for the former British colony in June, but was delayed supposedly due to concerns from local clergy and lay Catholics. The Diocese of Hong Kong has been without a permanent bishop since January 2019, when Bishop Michael Yong Ming Chung died. And that's all for this week. I am Basilio Sepe.
And I am Joe Torres for LiCAS.news, your independent Catholic news source in Asia. For more stories, visit our website, follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.